Oh boy, Father's Day is just around the corner, and even though I don't have a dad to give a present to, because I always gave my dad fragrances for Father's Day, he loved wearing fragrances. The kind of guy that liked to dress up and splash on his favorite fragrances or spray on, and he was an oversprayer. But I like to, you know, think about what I would want to give my dad if he was still alive today. So today, this is sort of a Father's Day fragrance gift guide, or suggestions for Father's Day to give as presents or gifts to your dad, which is coming around the corner, Father's Day. And if you are a dad yourself, you can, you know, find some fragrances for yourself to wear with these particular suggestions. So this is a top 20 Father's Day fragrances video. So if you want to find out what they are, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, today it's all about Father's Day fragrances. I've got classy fragrances that are perfect for dad. If you're looking for a gift idea to buy for your dad, I've got a pretty good wide variety of fragrances, not so overly priced fragrances, although there might be a few. A lot of designers and some luxury and you know, unique niche fragrances that are targeted for dads, or you know, male targeted fragrances. But some great stuff that I really enjoy, and I've ranked the video today all in a ranked list. But before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below, and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. How many of you have dads that love to wear fragrances? Let me know, put a comment down below so that I can find out. And as I said, my dad's no longer alive, but I always gave him fragrances, and he loved fragrances. My dad was obsessed with fragrances. I mean, he wasn't as obsessed as I am, but he always loved putting on fragrances before he left. You know, I could smell his fragrances all the time. Anyway, that's why I enjoy figuring out if there's a fragrance here that my dad would like, and a lot of these fragrances he would totally wear. I'm 99% sure he would like a lot of these fragrances. Anyway, we're gonna get started. We're gonna start with the first one, and I'm throwing in a fragrance that I don't speak too much about, and I recently rediscovered it here in my collection, and I quite like it. It's from the house of PENHALIGON'S, known for classy fragrances. This is a male-targeted fragrance, I believe. This is PENHALIGON'S ENDYMION Concentrate, this one right here. So this is a concentrated version of the original ENDYMION, and this is an aromatic, spicy fragrance and very woody, but this one has lots of leathery notes. So you've got suede leather in there, you've got lavender, you also have leather as a note, but there's loads of aromatic notes like sage, geranium, there's spicy notes of nutmeg, incense, and citruses of bergamot. It's a very classy fragrance with a little bit of a twist of the leathery touches and the woody touches in here that I think will be perfect fragrance for dad. And it's definitely on the aromatic side, so loads of aromatics, obviously, with pretty prominent lavender notes. So that's ENDYMION Concentrate from the house of PENHALIGON'S. The next one is a fairly new fragrance, and I think it's definitely classy enough. Nothing like the original. This is POLO Cologne Intense. A lot of people are telling me that this smells like the original, and I don't get that. I don't get that one whatsoever. I think the idea is similar, but the fragrance itself does not smell at all similar. The notes are different, first of all, and I think they've replaced the leather and Oakmoss that's in the original with Ambroxan and Patchouli for this one, but it wears very citrusy for me, but it's very classy. I think it's definitely a solid release for today's generation. Definitely not a fragrance that like this would come out back when the original POLO had launched, and of course they can't relaunch that original POLO now because most people are not into fragrances like that. But this is very classy, aromatic, citrus, and there's a pulpy, you know, succulent quality about the grapefruit in here. Wears very succulent, like juicy, pulpy kind of grapefruit. So I think it's a fresh fragrance with some substance to it, not an overdose or intense fragrance, but definitely classy enough for a man to wear. And you know, if you give it to your dad who once wore this fragrance in its original form, he might like it. We shall see, but I think it's a classy enough fragrance for somebody looking for a great grapefruity citrus fragrance. So that's POLO Cologne Intense at number 19. The next one is a staple for me for a long time. It's a classic fragrance from the 60s. Although it's been redone for a modern current generation. It's Dior Eau Sauvage, probably one of the best citrus fragrances for men. Citrus aromatic, light woody, earthy, leathery touches, not leathery, I should say vetiver touches under there. But I think it's definitely still smelling great. If you like citruses, this is definitely something you would pull for as a man if you're looking for a male targeted fragrance. But I find it classy. It's perfect to wear all year round, although during the winters it might be a little too fresh. You might need some more density or some more depth to a fragrance, but I think you can wear it all year round. Just be warned. I think this is really appropriate for warm days. So Dior Eau Sauvage, very classy, classic masculine offering. The next one is a new one that I recently reviewed. If you haven't caught my review for Creed Viking Cologne, please do. This is Viking Cologne. It just came out recently, and this is definitely a great, a fresh fougere fragrance experience. It's a fresher take on the original, and they're highlighting it with a lot of citruses added to the fragrance. There's a very invigorating citrusy touch about it upon initial spray, but then it goes into lots of aromatic notes. There's lots of Mandarin, Bergamot, Lavender, pink pepper, Geranium, lemons, Patchouli, Sandalwood, Vetiver, and Nutmeg. But a great scent. I really do enjoy this one. It's definitely not as pungent as the original, and I love the original as well. I think the original is really great. I still think the original is better than this, but if you're looking for a fresh take on that particular fragrance as a aromatic fougere fragrance, definitely try Viking Cologne from Creed. The next one at number 16 is Brioni EDP. I recently reviewed this one, and it's a very ozonic fragrance experience, but still classy. I find very classy, this one. Very elegant, also very dressy. But it's ozonic, as I said. Ozonic fragrances have a watery touch to them. This one has a kind of a crisp crunchiness about it. The violets have that experience for me. I'm always visualizing cucumbers with violet leaves. I think this one, even though they say it's ozonic accent, I'm most likely certain that they're using violet leaves, and along with the violets you do pick up the violets, the ozonic accent, ambroxan, pink peppercorn, crisp green apple, musk. But very classy fragrance. I think this is a great all year round fragrance, but it's fresh enough that I think it's more appropriate for, you know, when it's warmer outside. But you can definitely get away with wearing this one all year round. I think definitely enjoy its crispness. So that's Brioni EDP. Check that out. It's a brand new release. All right, next fragrance, we're going to the house of Hermes and their brand new masculine offering, age 24. I'm on a brand new bottle. Really great fragrance. But you know what? I have to be honest, I did discover a niche version of this, a little more intense, which I'll have to get to in a later future video. But for now, age 24 is a great fragrance focusing on Narcissus. It's got metallic touches, it's got minerally touches here, it's got woods and aromatic notes, and it is definitely on the light side, but as a smell I really enjoy this one for what it is. Definitely they did a great job. It kind of in line with Hermes's take on earthy fragrances, but a new, more modern take on it. I really do enjoy it. Lots of green touches in here, minerally, metallic touches, but wears wonderfully on me. Wears light, but definitely classy. Hermes H24, check it out if you don't know that one. The next one is from the house of Caron. This is Aimez-moi comme je suis, and this one focuses on vetiver. And vetiver is a great note to give dads. I think vetiver is a great masculine offering for dads. Very classy. Here, they've actually kind of toned down the vetiver's damp earthiness and twisted it with like zingy ginger, some nutty hazelnuts, some grapefruit as well to give it a little more of a spicy citrus kick to it. And of course there's some tonka beans and tobacco. Very classy fragrance. I think this is a very solid offering from this house. They've needed to do a new men's fragrance offering for us, and they've given us something great. So it's a little underrated. I think the house doesn't get around too much. It's not sold in a lot of different department stores throughout the country, if at all. So you'll probably have to order online for sure. But definitely, if you like the idea of this, get a sample to see what it's all about, because I think they've done a great job with adding the hazelnuts, ginger, grapefruit to the vetiver note that's in here, which is the main note. Aimez-moi comme je suis from the house of Caron. Check it out if you don't know it. The next one at number 13, we've got Milano Cento for him. So Milano Cento is a spicy citrus aromatic fragrance, kind of bordering barbershop fougere fragrances, but it's very fresh and very, very spicy. Lots of warm spices are in here, but it has sandalwood note as a prominent note. It's a standout. It dries down to a sandalwood, but there is a lot of lavender here. Lavender, of course, is what's typically found in aromatic and fougere fragrances. A petitgrain note in here as well. Cloves, cinnamon, those warm spices, patchouli, clary sage, bergamot, and rosemary for a great classy men's fragrance. It's a modern fragrance, but still kind of like, you know, got its arms around the classics. I think there's a lot of classic touches with this particular fragrance that I really like. Just reminds me of 80s and 90s kind of powerhouse type of citrus aromatic barbershop fragrances. So Milano Cento for him. The next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of 8 and Bob. It's Nuit de Megève, this one right here. This one I recommend as a great vetiver, and it also reminds me of Dior's vetiver that's really, really hard to get from their Privé Maison Christian Dior collection of fragrances. I just think that there's some notes in here with the vetiver that kind of takes me into that direction of reminding me of Dior vetiver. But it's all about vetiver with tonka beans. There's tobacco, there's coffee, there's orris, grapefruit, petitgrain, cloves, musk. A very, very classy, dressy men's fragrance, Nuit de Megève, focusing on vetivers, vetiver as a note. And of course, 8 and Bob, I think, is a great house that does great men's fragrances. So if you don't know this one, do check it out. I do recommend it, especially as an alternative to Dior's vetiver, as I said. So 8 and Bob, Nuit de Megève is great. This next one's from the house of Louis Vuitton, and I haven't spoken much about this one, but I recently rediscovered it and I'm in love with it. This is a great fragrance that starts off very fresh but dries down to a bit of a leathery experience. It's from the men's collection, Sur la Route. This is it right here. But boy, it's so fresh, very, very fresh, effervescent, and sparkly, kind of invigorating experience with lots of bergamot here. There's so much of it. It's just sparkling, you know, crystals and a shining experience with this one, with all those citrus notes. But there's lots of green grass here. There's lemons as well, in addition to the bergamot, so there's a lot of citrus touches. Pink pepper, nutmeg, hedione, leather, Peru balsam, patchouli. So there are some deeper notes that it dries down to, but it's very, very fresh and green up top. Man, it's good. It's a wake me up kind of a blast, you know? It's like spray some on when you're waking up and having a hard time, and you'll wake yourself up with this one. That's how great it feels. And I feel like it's classy enough for men to wear. And it's also in the men's collection, so you definitely know you're getting something that's targeted to men. Sur la Route, Louis Vuitton, a great scent. If you don't know it, do check that one out. I've been sleeping on it, but I really, really think it's great. One of the better ones. And actually, I shouldn't say this, but I am going to say it, probably even better than Imagination, the new one that just came out. We're going to the house of Loewe for the next fragrance, and it's at number 10. This is 001 Man, and I can't get enough of this musky, vegetal, powdery fragrance that I'm really, really in love with. This is all about violets, carrot seeds, ambrette seeds, musk, cypress, and the combination is top-notch, the way they've made the fragrance. Lots of ambrette causes musky experiences. There's lots of muskiness here, but there's a violet here, and this is the violet flower. I don't get ozonic with this one. Violet leaves go ozonic, violets as a flower goes powdery, along with carrot seeds, also kind of reminding me of iris. There's a vegetal quality about it. And then, of course, the entire collection of notes works beautifully together. Very, very classy fragrance. Also very, very sexy with its muskiness as well. The ambrette is really, really amazing here, and it provides us with the, you know, kind of sexy, musky note that's really, really to die for. So this is a great scent from the house of Loewe, a Spanish house, 001 Man. This is the EDP version that I'm obsessed with. Check it out if you don't know it. I think you're going to love that one. The next one I'm going to talk to you about is from the house of Houbigant. This is Fougère Royale, one of the better Fougère fragrances. This one is very, very chock full of lavender with geranium and oakmoss, but then there's lots of green notes here. Chamomile, which you can totally pick up. You can totally pick up the chamomile. There's a tea-like quality with there. Lots of bergamot, which kind of goes green, and then there's carnation, cinnamon, clary sage, and patchouli. Very classy fragrance. I think if I was a dad and I received Fougère Royale as a fragrance, I'd be very, very happy. This is something my dad would totally love. I never gave this to him. He was long gone before I discovered Fougère Royale. But Maybe he wore it in the past. I don't know. I'm not sure what he wore, you know, before he was married and had kids. But this fragrance has been around since the late 1800s. Not this particular version, which was relaunched in 2010, but previous incarnations of it. But very, very classy fougere here that's really, really to die for. So Houbigant Fougere Royale at number 9. And if you've been noticing, you know, fragrances do shift around in my list. That would have been higher 4 or 5 years ago. Now it's a little slipped, but that's what happened. Tastes change. Because this one actually comes a little better for me now. It's from the house of Amouage. Beach Hut Man, a different take on a fougere fragrance, a bitter green, herbal, grassy, ivy experience. Really, really wonderful fragrance. It's lots of mint here, galbanum, orange blossom, ivy, vetiver, oak moss, myrrh, woods, patchouli. Very aromatic and green up top. Gets bitter. Love that about it. And then of course it's starting to get deeper and deeper with the vetiver, myrrh, woods, and patchouli. Top-notch release. I'm obsessed with it. Stay tuned for a comparison of this with Enclave tomorrow. Since it is almost Father's Day, and both of them are minty fragrances and definitely perfect for Father's Day, so there will be a comparison of this. But if you don't know Beach Hut Man, definitely check it out. The next fragrance, we're going to the house of Jovoy. It's Incident Diplomatique for one of the best combinations of vetiver with patchouli. This one features 2 types of vetiver. There's patchouli, nutmeg, sandalwood, mandarin orange. But also lately I've been noticing with this one, when I smell it or wear it, there's a little bit of a tobacco-ish undertone. I don't know if you guys ever noticed it here, but I think it's just because vetiver can be smoky, and I think it creates an accord with all the different notes in it. This is a really, really gorgeous fragrance that gets me lots of compliments. Not lately, but prior to the pandemic, people used to stop me and ask me what I'm wearing. I think it leaves a beautiful and very, very sexy trail, and I find it to be very, very classy as well. And also, one more thing I should note, a lot of the fragrances are specifically targeted to men. This particular one, probably a few others that I've spoken about so far, are unisex targeted, but I think this leans masculine enough that makes it perfect for, you know, a classy fragrance for dad. So that's Jovoy Incident Diplomatique. This next one has become a favorite Guerlain for me. It's from their signature lineup of men's fragrances, Heritage in Eau de Toilette concentration. One of the better designer fragrances. Yes, I'm putting them down as a designer. They've been around for generations, but this one is great because I enjoy the sandalwood and aromatic notes with patchouli. I think it's great. Sort of kind of goes into a barbershop direction, but it doesn't. But I kind of get vibes like that when I'm wearing it. But this features lots of sandalwood, patchouli, lavender, amber, aldehydes, juniper berries, oak moss, musk. The combination is great. It's been around since 1990 or 91, somewhere around there, and I think it still smells great. Maybe younger noses might think this is a little too mature smelling, but give it a try. I think it's great. Really, really solid fragrance from the house of Guerlain called Heritage. At number 5, going to the house of Cartier. This is Pacha de Cartier Parfum. It's right here, and I'm in love with this one. I love the original, and I was going to feature the original, but the original might be a little too old school. I think this is a little more modern to give us a kind of an amber fougere experience, but lots of sandalwood here. I guess they might have similarities. I think they might do, but this is lots of sandalwood. There's a liqueur note in here, kind of like a boozy whiskey rum kind of thing. Balsam fir, tonka beans, benzoin, ambroxanide, patchouli, labdanum. And it's a beautiful fragrance with great concentration. It wears like heavy, but not over the top like beast mode like they used to do fragrances in the 80s, but definitely not a wimp compared to some of the other fragrances that are coming out these days from the designers. But a wonderful combination of warm notes with aromatic notes, and of course ambroxanide for its ambroxan touch, and a little boozy touch in there with the woody sandalwood. Amazing scent. So that's Cartier, Pacha de Cartier Parfum. Very, very classy for dad. This next one, it was a toss-up, but I decided to put it in here. I think it's classy enough and reminds me of classic men's fragrances. So even though it's unisex targeted, I think it's masculine enough for men to wear. This is Rogue Perfumery with Mousse Illuminée. Very, very amazing scent. I really love this greenish kind of chypre-like oak mossy kind of combination of notes. There's a fluffy, foamy kind of a characteristic about this fragrance when you smell it or wear it, but it has lots of oak moss with artemisia, white flowers, cypress, olibanum, laurels, white musk, cedar. But a beautiful wear, a great wear, green wear, a very, very green fragrance. I wouldn't call this very sexy, and also I think it's definitely unisex the way they're giving it to us, but for some reason it reminds me of men's kind of barbershop-y fragrances that kind of lean more sheep-like rather than, you know, fougere-like, if that makes sense. Gorgeous fragrance. If you don't know it, do check it out. Mousse Illuminée is a wonderful, wonderful fragrance. At number 3, go into a Beast Mode fragrance. Very, very intense fragrance for Dad. From the house of Nishane, it's Hachivat. And this is once again a unisex offering, but I find it to be masculine enough for to be, you know, classified as a men's fragrance, with the kind of like that you know, Aventus kind of quality to it, but with lots of pineapple here, oak moss, woods, patchouli, grapefruit, bergamot, and jasmine. The combination is great. It's intense. It's overly intense. Very masculine. Very green, woody, bitter, and long-lasting. Just don't overspray this one, but you might need it in the summertime when it's really, really warm outside, because smells really, really fresh and green, bitter and woody is at the same time. The pineapple in this, in comparison to other fragrances, is not as ripe smelling as some other pineapple fragrances. So that's why I feel like this kind of leans green, because it's not as sweet. Either way, Hachivat from Nishane is at number 3. At number 2, go into the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. It's Masculin Pluriel. I've grown to love this one more and more. I recently did a video about one of you guys had sent me a question, which fougere that you would like to wear in a very hot, humid country. This was one of the options you were deciding on, and since then I've been really pulling for this one, really enjoying this kind of Maison Francis Kurkdjian's take on a fougere, you know, spicy kind of aromatic fougere. But this features loads of lavender, vetiver, patchouli, cedar, woods, and leather. Yes, it dries down to kind of a leathery experience and a dark woody experience, but up top it's like Maison Francis Kurkdjian giving us what he can give us, like an amazing aromatic fougere fragrance for us, featuring, you know, lavender and vetiver together. Beautiful fragrance. Check it out. MFK, Masculin Pluriel, a wonderful wear. And my number 1 favorite fragrance for Dad. This is something my dad would really like. Ganymede from the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. Very, very interesting characteristic here with this fragrance. Interesting things happening. It's very musky to begin with, but also minerally. Lots of minerally touches. This one also has the violet leaves, so you get those crunchy, crisp kind of characteristics of violet leaves, which gives it an ozonic touch, kind of a watery thing running throughout it. There is Immortelle here as well. Immortelle is the everlasting flower, which has kind of brown sugary caramelly nuances in here. A very interesting flower because it also has a very dry hay-like experience. Mandarin orange, osmanthus, gives us the fruitiness. There's some fruitiness in here. I get apples with this one, and I think it's the violet leaves in combination with the osmanthus, but typically osmanthus generally goes in the direction of smelling like apricots or you know, nectarines. But, you know, we got saffron and suede in here as well, and saffron is very aromatic and dry and herbal, but goes leathery. So there is leathery touches in here. Very, very sexy fragrance, but also very, very classy and masculine, and it's my number 1 favorite for Father's Day. This is Marc-Antoine Barrois Ganymede. Check it out if you don't know it. And those are the fragrances I'm recommending today for Father's Day. I really love these fragrances. They're perfect fragrances for Dad or anyone who's a dad or not a dad wants classy fragrances, more on the masculine side to pull for. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video. Let me know if you're fans of these fragrances. What do you think about them? Do you have these fragrances, and have you been eyeing them? Put a comment down so I can find out. Other than that, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Alright, glad you stuck around because I got one more bonus fragrance for you. I've been really digging this particular fragrance a lot. This is from the house of Lalique, and I wanted to feature a Lalique fragrance, but it just didn't make the list, but I'm giving you one bonus fragrance. This is Lalique Hommage à la Homme Voyager with a very woody patchouli quality, perfect, classy a men's fragrance that's, I think, would make a great gift for Father's Day. This is recently something I featured in a video of fragrances created by Michel Almerac. It's one of his creations for Lalique, and it kind of also reminds me a little bit of Zeno Davidoff, but much more of a modern take on it. But this features notes of patchouli, cardamom, oakmoss, bergamot, vetiver, papyrus, amber. Very masculine notes. Where's masculine? If you're a lover of patchouli like I am and you want to do something very designer-esque, but a little on the niche side as well. I think Lalique's Hommage à la Homme Voyager is going to make a great scent. Just really love fragrances like this, and I think this is something my dad would have loved, and I would have given it to him because he appreciates fragrances like this. It's kind of masculine, definitely no flowers, woods, earthy notes, and things like that, which makes for a great masculine wear. Anyway, check it out if you don't know this one. It's a great scent from a great house, Lalique, underrated house, with kind of a very unique standout fragrances, and I think this is definitely one of their standout fragrances. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today, as I said.